Vice President Jagdeep Dhankhar has resigned from his post in order to prioritise his health. That's what he said in a letter posted to the President Droupadi Murmu, saying that he's stepping down with immediate effect. And now, to know more on this, we have my colleagues Maria Shakil as well as Vasudha Venugopal joining us from right outside the Parliament. Maria, over to you. Of course, questions being asked as to who's going to be taking charge, who's going to succeed from here on, given the fact that the 74-year-old leader also admits, he was saying that he's going to really resign at the right time, and he had many years ahead of him. What really happened here is the big question.
Yes, so Vice President Jagdeep Dhankhar at 9:30 p.m. last night sent his resignation to President Droupadi Murmu. Though our official communication from the President's house has yet not come on whether the President has accepted his resignation or not. No communication from the Treasury benches either, because there is a lot of speculation as to why did Mr. Dhankhar resign. Remember, he is the 6th Vice President who decided to step down mid-term. Although the other Vice President's resignation had more to do with their elevation as the President of India, Mr. Dhankhar is the first Vice President to step down mid-term because of health reasons. That's what he had cited. But is it much more than what meets the eye? Over the next few hours, we'll perhaps get clarity. But Vasudha continues to be with us. She was in Parliament when a series of meetings were happening yesterday. But when we look at the sequence of events, Vasudha, first, Vice President had told the BSE members that there would be another BSE meeting, Business Advisory Committee meeting, which will happen at 1:30 p.m. And he had also a scheduled, visit to Jaipur, which was planned for tomorrow. So it is certainly more sudden than what it appears.
Absolutely, Maria. In the March of this year, he was hospitalized for some health concerns. After that, he recovered, and he in fact also travelled abroad. He has been attending a lot of events, and like you rightly pointed out, yesterday the Business Advisory Committee met around 12:30. That meeting was inconclusive, which is why it was postponed to 4:30, which was not attended by anybody from the Treasury benches. Only the opposition leaders and Mr. Jagdeep Dhankhar were there. And he also said that the same meeting will take place today. And that meeting, of course, will not take place because he has resigned yesterday. Yes. And he was also supposed to travel to Jaipur. And just 11 days ago, he had talked about his own resignation. He said, I will resign at the right time, and he will resign, when the time comes. And his tenure was supposed to last till August 10th, 2027. So clearly what happened yesterday is very critical to this story. The fact that he announced the impeachment motion that was brought in by the opposition MPs. He said around 50 MPs, over 50 MPs had signed it. He did not talk about the BJP's efforts to do that. That also led to a lot of confusion, because till late night, till late evening yesterday, what I understand is that BJP Rajya Sabha MPs were called and they were asked to sign, and there were multiple meetings with the Prime Minister, with the Home Minister, then with Rajnath Singh, the Raksha Mantri. So clearly something that Mr. Dhankhar did could have also upset the government, but that really can't be seen as one of the reasons. Like Maria said, there's officially no word from the government yet on the resignation of Mr. Dhankhar, which is quite unseemingly of this government, very different from what we have seen in the past, because there's always posts on Twitter, on social media from top leaders on a certain person's resignation. This is the new BJP. This is Narendra Modi's BJP, which believes in sanitizing a lot of these things, which does not believe in
and it's very coordinated, how we have seen in the past, So what did the Jagdeep Dhankhar say with regards to his own resignation 11 days ago? Let's first listen to that. And also, soon after his resignation, the same set of opposition. Remember, last year, that was in December of 2024, the opposition had moved the first ever impeachment against a vice president, the chair who was also the ex-officio chairman of the Rajya Sabha. Although it was rejected on technical grounds, but that was also the kind of acrimonious relationship that Jagdeep Dhankhar had with the opposition. The opposition's tune changed all of a sudden last night, soon after his resignation. So let's listen in to all that changes which have happened in the last few hours.
I will retire at the right time. August 2027. Subject to divine intervention.
Okay. So you heard what Mr. Dhankar said 11 days ago, saying that he will decide his time of retirement, and that would obviously be in sync with his own retirement, his tenure ending as the Vice President of India. Remember, it all began in 2022. In July of 2022, Jagdeep Dhankhar was serving as the governor of West Bengal, and then the NDA government decided to elevate him and announce him as their nominee of the vice president. He went on to win the elections, and on 11th August is when his tenure began. So what really transpired yesterday? Aishwarya Jain is joining us. Aishwarya, series of meetings which happened yesterday. What do you sense in terms of the sequence of events? Try and piece together for our viewers what all you saw when you were in Parliament covering those meetings which were happening of the Treasury benches.
Yes, of course, multiple meetings took place yesterday, and one thing just has been confirmed to us by the government is that yesterday there were two BACs. One was at around 1:30 and there was no consensus that was made on the debate around Operation Sindoor in the upper house of the parliament. Followed by that, again, Jagdeep Dhankhar called in at a meeting at 4:30. In that particular meeting, the opposition and the floor leaders from different political parties reached. But it was from the government, JP Nadda and Mr. Kiran Rijiju, Union Parliamentary Affairs Minister, had to arrive. In place of them, L. Murugan, who is the MOS for the Parliamentary Affairs, he arrived as well, and he requested Jagdeep Dhankhar that because of their inavailability, can we have this meeting tomorrow, that is today at 1:30. Jagdeep Dhankhar accepted that request, and he announced that again the BAC will meet tomorrow, that is today at 1:30, and the timing around how many hours of Operation Sindoor duration would be, and at what date exactly in the upper house will be decided. Of course, Jagdeep Dhankhar was miffed at that point of time. Yesterday there were multiple meetings. Prime Minister took a separate meeting. Followed by that, it was Home Minister Amit Shah who met Jagdeep Dhankhar as well, and that meeting lasted for almost 1 hour. The sources have indicated to us that the one thing that the government was very upset of, because Defence Minister Rajnath Singh had called all the Rajya Sabha NDA MPs to his chambers after the Rajya Sabha got adjourned to sign that impeachment motion. The Rajya Sabha chairperson had already announced it in the upper house of the parliament. But there was a clarification just 40 minutes before the resignation that was sent to the President of India that became official, clarified that it will be a committee that will be set up by both Lok Sabha Speaker and Rajya Sabha chairperson, and then only this committee would revert it back. So there was clarification that came in, but the government knew that there is something. Of course, the ministers came in the parliament to meet
from
senior
the Vice
ministers,
President,
and
Aishwarya yesterday was very important to the entire chronology of events that took place. But yesterday what happened, Maria, clearly was a trigger to of course, Jagdeep Dhankhar asking for his, resigning yesterday. But then this could have been steam building, being built up over the last many months. Mr. Dhankhar was a man of his own mind. He was a constitutional expert, and like Maria said, he had served as not just the governor of West Bengal, but also somebody who has an accomplished career in law as a lawyer. But as somebody who performed as the vice president, also his duties as the chairperson of the Rajya Sabha. Remember, the vice president also is the ex-official chairperson of the Rajya Sabha. He has had a mixed career with run-ins with the opposition members. Not only did he have to face an impeachment motion by the opposition members, it was under his tenure that almost 169 MPs faced suspension.
Yes.
So clearly
that was a record.
Yes, that was a record. And
so then, Vasudha, that's what we wonder, that did we see any manifestations of this nature?
Absolutely.
That if yesterday was a trigger, then did we see signs of complete breakdown between the Treasury benches and the chairman of the Rajya Sabha?
So it's very interesting that he was criticized by the opposition, but in the course of present things,
yes,
he's being in some ways seen as someone who was also close to the opposition. So clearly, many angles there. This is a man who praises the RSS. This is a man who comes from the Janta Party background. He's a congressman, but has been part of the BJP, has always praised the Prime Minister. But most importantly, he has taken on judiciary, has often commented on several issues, specifically with regard to separation of powers. Tushar Gupta, political analyst, joins us now. Tushar, a lot of us have confusion as to what really happens. Our colleague Sunil Prabhu was also talking about this being a constitutional crisis. Do you see it that way? What happens next? My sources tell me that there will be a vice president election in the next 2 months. Would that be possible? Is there a workaround with regard to that? And we've seen this fight between Margaret Alva and, of course, Jagdeep Dhankhar. BJP has the numbers, NDA has the numbers. How do you see this? How do you see the ruling party, navigating this problem or crisis or whatever you see it as?
Good morning, Vasudha. Good morning, Maria. Look, there is no constitutional crisis as such. The deputy chairman will take it on from here. Harivansh Narayan Singh will proceed over the session, over the monsoon session that's going on. But yes, NDA has the numbers. If you look at both houses of the parliament, NDA is very comfortable. In fact, the BJP is very comfortable when it comes to the numbers. So electing a vice president won't be a problem. The question is who? Since in the last evening, in the last 12 hours, there are many names that are doing the round. Some are speculating it could be a current chief minister. Some are saying it could be a couple of the union cabinet ministers who could be sort of making that cut. But I don't think anyone really knows right now who could be the next vice president. But if you look at the history of the BJP, how they've appointed vice presidents who also run the Rajya Sabha, they have been hard taskmasters. Jagdeep Dhankhar took on the Rajya Sabha pretty well. He was bipartisan, but there was this banter that used to be very common, the way he used to conduct the House. And they will be looking for a tough taskmaster. This is not some ceremonial post. They'll be doing some appointment like that. So I don't think that's going to happen. But to answer your question, absolutely no constitutional crisis. And yes, a lot of names doing the round, but I think I'll hold back and we'll see what names really come up. But I don't think it's going to be a current chief minister for sure.
Yes. Yeah, I heard.
Yes. Tushar, because this is a constitutional crisis, the House is in session. So it's clearly something which wasn't really planned. It has come all of a sudden. And Mr. Dhankar resigning on health grounds is something which is not completely believable, because yes, he has cited health reasons and he's saying that he's abiding by the advice of his doctors. But did he resign as some kind of a flashpoint? Was there something, something that happened yesterday? Is the big question. But yes, the NDA has the numbers. They will have the vice president of their liking, and there would be an election which will happen, which will have to happen now. But an official word from the government has not come. An official word from the government will perhaps happen on the floor of the House, because the Parliament is in session and the government has to give clarity as to how and why did the vice president, who is the ex-officio chairman of the Rajya Sabha, resign. As far as the proceedings of the House is concerned, that will be conducted by Harivansh Narayan Singh, who is the vice chairman, Vasudha.
Yes, absolutely. And Maria, the government will also not be very keen on this derailing the parliament agenda, because Operation Sindoor, the debate on Operation Sindoor, 16 hours allocated to it, is something that the government, the treasury benches are looking forward to, because this is also one way of showcasing the achievements of our armed forces and political will of the establishment. But clearly, like you rightly said, what happened yesterday was a trigger. My colleague has spoken to Akhilesh Prasad Singh, who's a Congress leader, and this is what he said.
मेरे साथ कांग्रेस पार्टी के राज्यसभा सांसद अखिलेश प्रसाद सिंह जी हैं। उनका देर शाम इस्तीफा आया और कुछ घंटे पहले इस्तीफे के आप लोग उनसे मिले थे। कैसी उनकी तबीयत थी और इस्तीफे पर आपकी प्रतिक्रिया क्या है?
नहीं, तबीयत तो बिल्कुल ठीक थी और ठीक बात कर रहे थे। आज हाउस भी चलाए थे, कल उन्होंने अच्छे से चलाया। हम सबके लिए, राज्यसभा के लिए और राजनीति के लिए दुर्भाग्यपूर्ण है, और मैं तो चाहूँगा कि वो पद पर बने रहें, फिर से विचार करें, और प्रधानमंत्री जी को हम लोगों को आग्रह होगा कि उनको मना के फिर से ले आएं।
तो आप जो ये आखिरी में उन्होंने कहा कि आप कह रहे हैं कि प्रधानमंत्री से आप आग्रह करेंगे उन्होंने मनाएं, वो मनाने की ज़रूरत क्यों है? किसी बात से नाराज़गी है उनकी, आपको लगता है कि मनाने की दरकार है? और किस बात से नाराज़गी हो सकती है अगर नाराज़गी है?
तो उपराष्ट्रपति को हम आप तो दखल दे के नहीं उनको मना सकते हैं। वो तो केवल प्रधानमंत्री ही हैं इस देश में जो उनको कह सकते हैं।
नहीं, मैं ये पूछ रहा हूँ अखिलेश जी कि वो स्वास्थ्य कारणों का हवाला वो दे रहे हैं, आप कह रहे हैं उन्हें मनाने की जरूरत है, तो जो नाराज होता है उसे मनाया जाता है। आपको क्या लगता है कि क्या उपराष्ट्रपति ने नाराजगी के कारण इस्तीफा?
नहीं, मैं इसका निश्चित उत्तर कैसे दे सकता हूँ? इसका निश्चित उत्तर तो फिर जब तक वो नहीं बोलेंगे मुझे कहाँ जानकारी है। ये बिल्कुल चौंकाने वाला है और हम लोग भी को भी एकदम लगा कि ये क्या हो गया।
Sanjiv Kumar also continues to be with us. Sajjan, your thoughts on this? Do you think it is, of course, a constitutional crisis, and the Treasury benches will have to, explain as to what all happened, as to give some answer to all that is in the air right now, and the opposition being led by Jairam Ramesh talking about a sequence of events which have to be explained by the government?
Two aspects. Certainly, it's not a constitutional crisis because being the ex officio chairman of the Rajya Sabha, he was presiding it, but in his absence, the deputy chairman, Harivansh, would be there to preside. So that way, it's not a constitutional crisis. Nevertheless, constitution mandates that there has to be an immediate vice president because a country cannot envisage a scenario without the three top posts, president, prime minister, and vice president. And they have the numbers. But nevertheless, this really shows a sort of lack of coordination, not because vice president resigned, but because we are yet to hear the final words from the treasury benches, from the government. And that shows that perhaps not everything, things are not as smooth as should have been there. This is one. Two, I still believe, and this is just my personal thing, that whatever be the case, now it would be difficult for the vice president to retract his resignation because he would be a matter of ridicule, and also it would be quite embarrassing. So therefore, we have to think about the future scenarios, that who would be the faces who would be considered for the vice president's post. But certainly we have been witnessing that despite prime minister popularity and everything post Arun Jaitley, whenever it comes about the narrative, it comes about sort of sending a very coherent message, there have been colossal moment of embarrassment, and which leads to the kind of speculation that we are witnessing right now. Yes, Maria.
Absolutely, Sajjan. Let me also ask you this question. I was thinking about it last night. Any person who has been seen as not a great appointment by the BJP has been changed. We have seen that with the former chief ministers of Uttarakhand. We have seen that with the ex-chairperson of CBFC. But Jagdeep Dhankhar is not that case because he really helped, BJP strengthen its position in Bengal because he was the one who spoke continuously about post-poll violence, pre-poll violence. He took on Mamata Banerjee government, and he was also a legal luminary. He spoke against the judiciary. In some ways, that also suited people who are speaking in support of the government. The handling of this crisis till now, just about, 14 to 15 hours have passed since then. How do you see this? Is it different from the way this government has handled situations like this in the past? Because I do feel that there is a lot of difference in the way the government is seen as being handling this. Also because Maria was talking about the complete, utter silence when it comes to official statement on what really happened.
Yes, precisely. There is a couple of stark differences, which is, in contrast to, you see, BJP is known for example, doing their homework quite meticulously, always kind of preempting the crisis and then always being prepared and always ahead of the arc. All these things you see, something which becomes a gospel of the treasury benches, particularly the current phase of BJP. In the case of Vice President Dhankhar's scenario, it seems that certainly they are at a loss to come up with a final statement or some sort of a statement which gives people a clue. This is one. Two, as you said, that while Mr. Dhankhar has been into controversy with regard to the opposition, but no one can deny that he has been bold and able administrator, quite knew the technicalities in granular detail, be it as a governor of West Bengal or as the vice president, matters concerning legislature conflict with the judiciary. So that way, when the monsoon session had already been there, so certainly the treasury bench would have gone into many detail how to conduct this session which is going to be stormy as expected. At that juncture, suddenly, Vice President resigning and no statement, formal statement coming from the government side certainly shows that everything that is
Yes.
known about BJP, very meticulous, very prepared, doing their homework, being ahead of the arc, all these things seems missing in his case. So there is a stark difference, certainly. And that leads to the kind of speculation we are.
Yes. Yes, this is not really a BJP of the kind that we have seen in the last 11 years. It appears to be not really prepared with this kind of resignation which has come in. But let's be also mindful of the fact here, Tushar, that the Parliament is in session. Any statement which comes from the Treasury benches or the government of the day has to come on the floor of the House.
Yeah.
We are looking at the chairman of the Rajya Sabha here, the Vice President of India. It cannot be any statement which can be issued by any of the ministers outside Parliament. They cannot take to X and, say something like the way opposition is doing, because there has to be a protocol and a procedure which has to be followed. And that is the reason why when the Parliament reconvenes at 11 a.m., we can expect some kind of statement. And whether the statement will be coming from the leader of the House or coming from perhaps the Parliamentary Affairs Minister, I think it should come from the Parliamentary Affairs Minister. That is something that we can expect, right, Tushar?
Absolutely, absolutely. And I was quite marveled by the point you made earlier, that was there a flashpoint that we did not see coming? Now, if there was a flashpoint, I don't know what happened yesterday that a tipping point was reached that the vice president had to resign. There are two ways to look at it. If there was indeed a flashpoint, if there were indeed some internal disturbances going on within the party, what happened yesterday that suddenly the first day of the session, the vice president has to resign? So I don't think there was some immediate flashpoint yesterday. There were things building up, but if they were indeed building up, I don't think the BJP would have waited for the first day of the monsoon session. That's point number one. Point number two, the Parliamentary Affairs Minister has to now set a timeline for the election of the Vice President. This is not an assembly election that can be delayed, or the BMC election that you can, sort of delay in perpetuity. You have to give a certain timeline that this is when the election will happen. This is how it will happen. That all has to come up, and I hope it will come in the next 2 days. More importantly, Maria, the Prime Minister is also traveling starting tonight on a 4-day trip to Maldives and the United Kingdom. So I don't know if even any immediate decision will be made on the elevation of the vice president. So that's also going to be a wait at least for a week now. So a lot of to's and fro's, but yes, I think the statement should come from the Parliamentary Affairs Ministers, at least about a timeline as to when we are looking at the new Vice President of India. But yes, I don't think there was an immediate flashpoint.
Yes,
probably something related to his health, which had been in the reports for quite some time.
Yes. So, and also let's not forget that, whenever a vice president steps down, there is a period of 90 days in which the entire process of, notification to be issued by the Election Commission, and then the Electoral College, and then the election that will take place, because for the vice president's election, the voters are essentially the members of parliament of both the Lok Sabha and the Rajya Sabha. Today, the focus will also be on the SIR, which is the Special Intensive Review, which is happening in Bihar. The opposition has moved multiple adjournment motions and has given notices for that. They want extensive discussion on it. Remember, the matter is already sub judice. It is before the Supreme Court. The Supreme Court will be taking this issue up on 28th. And the Election Commission has already filed a counter affidavit in the Supreme Court, where they have specified that how this exercise has the endorsement of the people of Bihar. What should we be expecting on the SIR? Let's bring in Aishwarya. Aishwarya, over to you. What should we be expecting on this?
Well, in the Parliament at 10 a.m., India bloc floor leaders are meeting inside the Parliament at around 10:30. The Congress would be preparing its own strategy. They all are going to meet at the chambers of Congress President Mallikarjun Kharge, and there is a protest planned at Makar Dwar inside the Parliament premises by the opposition bloc as far as the entire process of SIR. Remember, in the all-party meeting as well, from Samajwadi Party to RJD, Congress, all have raised the issue on the discussion of the entire electoral process that is going on in the state of Bihar as far as the special intensive revision is concerned. It is, in the in the parliament, both in the Lok Sabha and Rajya Sabha, the opposition camps wants a discussion on this very issue as well. But yesterday in the BAC, when some of the opposition parties tried to raise it, the government had not allowed it as of now. So clearly there is going to be a protest inside the parliament. Several adjournment notices have been served from Manikam Tagore to Ranjit Ranjan to Syed Nasir Hussain to have an urgent intervention to discuss whether that will be admitted or not. It's something that needs to be seen.
Absolutely. And very quickly, Aishwarya, because time has been allotted to not just Operation Sindoor debate, but also to India Post Bill and income tax bill, the fact that SIR did not make it to that list of BAC, does it mean that the government has made it very clear that it has ceded some space to the opposition, but when it comes to Bihar SIR, the special intensive revision, it is not going to have a discussion in the parliament?
Well, probably for this week, this is not going to happen because the Lok Sabha BAC had already decided the list of agenda, and there had been multiple, things on the card as far as the durations are concerned to allot as to how many hours these discussions will go on. But opposition is completely miffed. They have been saying since the all-party meeting that there are crores of voters that are being affected, and this might go ahead in the state of West Bengal. The similar process can be applied there as well, although the government has been saying that it's a constitutional right of the Election Commission to conduct such processes and there is nothing wrong in it, but the face-off will definitely be seen in terms of protest, in terms of sloganeering and heated exchange of war of words between the Treasury and the opposition camps regarding the entire Bihar SIR row.
Well, let's also take a look at this report from my colleague Nupur, who covers the Supreme Court for us, on what the court's position is when it comes to the SIR.
Election Commission late last night filed its affidavit in the Supreme Court replying to the questions raised by the Supreme Court regarding the special intensive revision it is being carried out in the state of Bihar. The Election Commission has vehemently defended the exercise of SIR in Bihar, saying that almost 90% of the exercise is complete. They further said that the public seems to have no problem with the exercise of SIR and they have been actively participating in it, and it has further said that including Aadhaar, Ration and the voter ID card may not be the best idea. It has, in fact, remember in the last hearing, the Supreme Court had asked them to consider in interest of justice to include these three documents in the list of 11 documents that they have prepared for accepting in the exercise of SIR, but they have still vehemently opposed it. They said that okay, we will say that the list of 11 documents is indicative and not exhaustive, but it has given arguments that why they cannot use Aadhaar, Ration card and ECI. They have said that there are a lot of fake Aadhaar cards and Ration cards that are going around, and there is also, they further said that using ECI card, voter ID card again would make this entire exercise futile, because this is the process to clean the rolls. So ECI has in fact held its court in the affidavit filed in the Supreme Court. It will be important to see that how the top court reacts to it in the hearing on 28th of July.